You can join us live for our next BookFunnel webinar. Check out the link in the description for more details. We hope to see you there.
Here, we're going to be talking about which direct sales platform is right for you. There's a number of direct sales platforms that BookFunnel integrates with. And so today, here's some of what we're going to be covering. First, we're going to do an overview of direct sales, what it is, just for those of you who aren't sure. I just kind of got to do my due diligence here just to make sure that everybody knows what we're talking about as well when we're talking about direct sales. We're going to do a pros and cons deep dive then into each platform. Obviously, that's the maybe it's the most thorough way to do it. So we're going to look at each platform, the pros and cons of each of them, so that you have a good idea. There's a lot of information packed in there, but then I'm going to do some rankings as well at the end and kind of rank them based on different things. Like if you're looking for this particular feature, this is the best platform for that. And then I have some final recommendations based on where you are in your career as an author, if you're looking at direct sales, and then we can get into some questions after that. Right. So how does direct sales with BookFunnel work? Well, a sale occurs in your store, your online store. BookFunnel is notified of the transaction, and then BookFunnel delivers your customers' books. That's how direct sales works. BookFunnel is like USPS. We're the mailman. We're the delivery service. You do not sell your books through BookFunnel. You sell them through your own website, which you have integrated with BookFunnel. And so BookFunnel gets notifications from your store. Hey, this book sold to this reader. Deliver it at this email address, and we deliver those books to them. A few things to know. BookFunnel doesn't take a cut of your sales. We just deliver them. So you don't have to pay additional fees to BookFunnel. Obviously, you have your BookFunnel plan, but that's it. We don't charge any additional fees for transactions and so forth. BookFunnel does not deliver physical products such as paperbacks, hardcovers, or swag. So if you have physical products that you are delivering, you will need to set up fulfillment of those through some other way. BookFunnel provides a single link that you can send to all customers after purchase for easy digital delivery as well. This is our checkout delivery link. This allows you to send one link after purchase, and then readers can download all of their books. It's really kind of fancy how it works, or slick. Maybe that's a better term, because you send that one link to anybody after purchase, and it gives them their specific download links for the books that they purchased. So it's able to detect what they purchased. Just makes it really easy afterwards to get those books to those readers. We do need to make a note on some supported formats. So BookFunnel delivers ebooks, Kindle EPUBs, PDFs. We can also, via the BookFunnel app and Cloud Reader, you have the option for audiobooks as well. You have the option to also make those audiobooks downloadable through DRM-free MP3 files. So those are the formats that we can deliver in. Right? Again, BookFunnel does not deliver print books. For that, you'll want to look at something like BookVault. We're going to be mentioning also, by the way, BookVault several times throughout this presentation, and what platforms integrate with them. Or Lulu is another option as well. And so if you do deliver print books, that part of the process is going to be separate. So the setup process is actually pretty simple for most platforms. You're going to connect your sales platform to BookFunnel following the setup guide in the author knowledge base. We have a setup guide for each platform separately. Of course, at this point, you probably want to have created your online store already, but you get it connected to BookFunnel. You're going to create your products on BookFunnel, which we refer to as delivery actions that correspond to each of the products in your store. So if you have 3 books for sale and you're selling book 1 and book 2 and book 3, and maybe you're selling a bundle that's the whole trilogy, right? That's 4 products. And so you want to create 4 delivery actions in BookFunnel that correspond to each of those products. A product can include multiple books. And then we're complete. So we want to perform a test purchase after this part, after we've gotten everything set up, after we've created our delivery actions. We perform a test purchase in our store, and then we just confirm that everything is delivered, that everything works. We want to make sure that the SKU or the product link matches in BookFunnel and in our store, and the setup then is complete. If your test purchase isn't successful, you need to go back and review one of these steps of the process, right? So that's important to note, right? That's just a quick overview. We actually have a webinar on the BookFunnel YouTube channel that goes through just direct sales in general in depth. I recommend you check that out. It is a little outdated in one major respect, and that is in regards to PayPal. However, we'll probably do an updated version of that webinar soon. And we'll touch on PayPal in this webinar because some things have changed with PayPal. We want to make sure that everybody is aware of that, right? So let's dive into our pros and cons deep dive. We're looking at Shopify first. For note, these are in no particular order, by the way. We are looking at Shopify simply because it is it's at the top of my list, right? So the pros. Shopify has some great tools for store setup, lots of customization. It's fairly easy to use. The integration with BookFunnel is easy to set up. It is seamless. And it integrates well with most website platforms as well. It can also function as a standalone site, so it can also sort of be your website platform. But if you use something like Squarespace or Wix, Shopify integrates with those. It makes it very easy for you to connect it to your store and manage direct sales that way. Right. They handle a global tax collection and remittance via Shopify Tax and Avalara, right? So there are some options for that there. It does connect to BookVault, and the fees are relatively low. This is perhaps the biggest selling point of Shopify. It's 2% per transaction, plus the standard credit card fees. And you're going to hear me say this multiple times, 2.9% plus 30 cents in the United States. That's like standard credit card processing fees. You're going to pretty much pay that on every platform, 2.9% plus 30 cents. That's going to be pretty universal for every transaction. However, each platform is going to have its own fee on top of that, and Shopify's is 2%. Has strong upsell and cross-sell and bundling tools if you're looking for those. And it also integrates with multiple email marketing services. MailChimp, that should say Kit now. ConvertKit changed their name, but I missed that here in the notes. But ConvertKit, I know that they connect to MailerLite as well. Now, here's some of the cons. There's a monthly fee for Shopify, usually about $29 to $300, depends on how much volume you're doing, what features you're using for. Plus, there's transaction fees, right, for payouts, unless you're using Shopify payments. Requires additional apps for some advanced features, like if you're doing subscriptions or complex bundling and things like that. So you need to learn other things as well connected to Shopify. It can be overwhelming, in my opinion, for beginners due to the number of customization options that you have. Getting started, you might just want something simple. Now, on the monthly fee aspect, there actually is a Shopify. I think they have some basic plan that is a little bit cheaper than $29 a month. I think it's maybe like $5 a month. I think it's very limited. But otherwise, you're looking at paying a monthly fee somewhere in that range. In fact, I think 29 actually might even be a little out of date. It might even be $39. But it has a monthly fee attached to it. So that's probably one of the big cons for most people looking at direct sales. Now, PayHip. So PayHip is another great option for direct sales. The pros, it is extremely easy to set up. It is designed for digital and physical product sales. The BookFunnel integration with PayHip is probably the easiest out of every single platform, although most of them are pretty easy, but very, very straightforward, easy to set up. There is no monthly fee for PayHip, and that's one of the big pros. But again, just to mention it, there's a 5% per sale fee on the free plan. They do have paid options where you can, they have a plus plan and a pro plan that reduce those fee percentages. That monthly plan is optional. If you just use the free plan, it's 5%, again, plus the standard credit card processing fees. They do handle EU VAT taxes automatically, And they have built-in website hosting, or you can integrate with existing sites. They do connect with a book vault for print-on-demand books, and they also support physical merchandise sales. They do have some built-in upsell and bundling options. There's options to create coupons and things like that as well. So there's some of that. It's maybe a little bit limited compared to things like Shopify, but you have some tools there. And there's basic email marketing integration. So you can connect PayHip to MailerLite, for example, or your mailing list service to have those two things connected. Obviously, when you have somebody purchase through your store, you may want to send them emails and so forth. And so having that connected to your mailing list integration is key. So some cons, is definitely some limited customization options when it comes to your storefront compared to things like Shopify. You have fewer advanced marketing features with PayHip. It's I don't want to say it's bare bones. It's basic. It's not bare bones, but that might be all you need. And it's probably not ideal for high volume stores due to the transaction fees on the lower tiers. However, upgrading to one of their other plans might make sense for you, especially that pro plan with the 0% fee. You're just paying a monthly fee. At some point, that makes sense, right, for somebody if you're doing enough volume of sales. So, maybe not the strongest con in the world, but something to pay attention to. Now, Gumroad. Gumroad, let's look at the pros of Gumroad. It is a simple and fast store setup on Gumroad. And again, BookFunnel integration is easy. Those things I'm going to be, the store setup is not always going to be universal, but BookFunnel integration with most of these platforms, there's one major exception, and we'll get to that. But it's going to be pretty straightforward and easy. Most platforms make this setup process really easy, so I don't want you to be intimidated by that aspect of it. There is no monthly fee for Gumroad. They do have a 10%, again, plus the standard, or 10% fee plus the standard credit card processing. There's no need to handle taxes. Gumroad collects and remits sales tax for US and EU customers and supports selling of digital and physical products, including books. There are some built-in marketing tools for basic customer engagement that Gumroad makes available for you, and it can function as a standalone storefront and has some tools to embed in your website. However, a couple things to keep in mind here, that there is a high per sale fee compared to some other platforms. So that 10% is a little bit higher. And there is no direct integration with BookFunnel for print on demand. Customization options are somewhat limited when it comes to Gumroad. And in fact, Gumroad, I will say this, they have their own kind of style, if you will. And you kind of just have to fit into that style, right? The visual style and for your product pages and things like that. Upselling and bundling features, Gumroad doesn't have a lot of those. It's pretty basic, right? But it is relatively easy to set up. Now, Lemon Squeezy, this is a platform that we recently added integration with on BookFunnel. So let's go down the list of pros and cons here. Again, easy store setup. It is designed for digital and physical product sales. The correction there, that should be, I think Lemon Squeezy is primarily digitally focused. So that one slipped through. But it is an easy store setup. Integration, again, seamless. Doesn't take long to set up to connect your Lemon Squeezy store to BookFunnel. They do handle global tax collection and remittance, including EU VAT taxes. There's, again, no monthly fee. They charge 5% plus 50 cents in a transaction fee. So they're a little different. BookFunnel, though, you can get a discount that reduces that to 30 cents with a BookFunnel discount. There's details on that in the author knowledge base. And then there is the typical credit card transaction fees. They have built-in website hosting, or you can embed into an existing site. And then there's some built-in upsell and bundling options, cross-selling, discounts, and things like that, which can be useful. They do have built-in email marketing and automations, as well as supporting multiple payment options. So credit cards, Apple Pay, Google Pay. Some of that is fairly universal, but good to know. Cons, no support for physical merchandise. This is where I have to make a correction there on that first one. No direct support for physical merchandise beyond print on demand books. Lemon Squeezy really is primarily focused on digital product delivery. There are some exceptions, I think, in some cases where you can do digital or physical product delivery, but generally speaking, Lemon Squeezy, they want you to be selling digital products. There's limited storefront customization. Most of it is templates, but if you like their templates, that's not really a problem. And transaction fees can be higher compared to things like Shopify and WooCommerce for large volume sellers. Again, no direct book vault integration yet. This would require some manual setup if you wanted to do something like book vault this way. Now, WooCommerce. Let's go through the pros of WooCommerce and cons. And I know I'm kind of speeding through some of these things here, folks. The replay, of course, is going to be available on YouTube. And then I'm going to break this down by category after this. So if you feel like I'm kind of rushing through things here, that's where we're going to spend the bulk of our time today, is talking about under those different categories. And then obviously we'll get to some of your questions here too. So the pros, WooCommerce is free. There's no monthly fees for WooCommerce, just hosting costs. And that's because, well, WooCommerce is a WordPress plugin, right? So if you use WordPress, you do not have to pay a monthly fee to use WooCommerce. They're just standard credit card fees involved. It gives you full control and customization over your store design because it's built into WordPress. And seamless BookFunnel integration. That part of the process is actually pretty straightforward, and it can be added to any existing WordPress site. So if you already use WordPress, WooCommerce might be the most straightforward decision for you. They do support book vault integration and physical product sales with built-in upsell and cross-sell and bundling options. And there are, again, no transaction fees, only the payment processor fees, that typical 2.9% plus 30 cents, and numerous email integration options for you to connect to your mailing list service. So the cons of WooCommerce, and there's a few here. Requires a self-hosted WordPress site, which WordPress does have a little bit of a learning curve. Some people love WordPress, some people don't. And so that might be the selling point for you. Like, yeah, I don't want to mess with WordPress. Okay. Then, yeah, for some people that could be a con. If you already use WordPress, though, hey, maybe not a problem. No built-in tax handling, so it requires plugins to manage taxes and remittance and that sort of thing. Is usually manual. And you have to handle the security, hosting, and site maintenance yourself, as opposed to essentially, like some of those options, having your site essentially hosted by, PayHip or Shopify or what have you. Right. And again, there's a learning curve to that to some extent. WordPress, of course, is a requirement here, like I already mentioned. And this integration with WooCommerce and BookFunnel tends to have more issues than other platforms. And so while connecting it to BookFunnel is relatively easy, we do tend to see more technical issues come up with WooCommerce integrations than we do pretty much any other integration that we have. So that's another thing for you to consider. I want you to, if you choose to go with WooCommerce, just know sometimes there are some wonky things that happen with WooCommerce. It's just kind of the way it goes, right? So that's something for you to keep in mind. Fourth Wall. This is another platform we've recently added integration with. Fourth Wall has some great options for you. So let's go down the list of pros. Again, super easy store setup. It's designed for creators and really works well for authors as well. It has seamless BookFunnel integration again. To keep hitting on that buzzword, integration is just really easy with most of these platforms again, folks. There's no upfront cost. So for Fourth Wall, there's a 3% fee for digital products plus your standard transaction fees. And they handle tax collection and remittance automatically for US and international sales. The full website hosting is included, so there's no need for a separate site if you don't want one. You can just do everything on Fourth Wall, and it has built-in email list growth tools. You can collect emails at checkout and so forth as well. It does support physical merchandise like apparel, stickers, and mugs, and even more. And in fact, they actually uh, drop ship those products for you, essentially. So they have their own list of products and you can customize them. And Fourth Wall handles the sort of, it's all built in one thing. They handle the delivery of those products. So you can kind of do it all in one place. You don't have to connect to another platform if you're wanting to sell some additional merch. There's some really great upsell and bundling features that they have as well for membership options, merch bundles, things like that. And again, they support multiple payment options. So the cons, there's some limited storefront customization compared to things like Shopify or WooCommerce that are a little bit more robust, right? It's not ideal for complex storefronts. It's better suited for creators with a simple product lineup. That's not to say that if you have a very large backlist, you couldn't use Fourth Wall. It's more the complexity of it, right? That is the thing. There's potentially some higher fees than some alternatives, especially when you factor in payouts and things like that. So that's something for you to keep in mind. Now, let's take a look at ThriveCart. So ThriveCart is a very interesting tool compared to some of the others. So ThriveCart, one of the pros, it is a one-time fee, which for some people is maybe going to sound too good to be true. That fee, I will say, is substantial. You do have to pay depending on your plan. I think I don't want to guesstimate too much here, but we're talking in the hundreds of dollars here for a one-time fee. However, there's no transaction fees after that, just your standard credit card processing fees, 2.9% plus 30 cents. Integration with BookFunnel is easy, and it's probably the most robust upselling and bundling tool available for authors selling direct. Very, very powerful in that regard. They do handle sales tax collection via TaxJar, and it directly integrates with mailing list and marketing tools, and also supports physical product sales. Now, when we get to the list of cons, the one major thing here, again, the expensive upfront cost, right? Around 500 bucks for that initial purchase. Some plans I think are a little bit more, depends on the features. There's add-ons and things like that. There's no built-in storefront. It's cart-based, so it's a cart-based system. It's not like a full-fledged store. And there are some limited customization options for checkout pages, but really the list of cons is pretty low. That's pretty much it. ThriveCart is a really it's a power feature. So for power users, ThriveCart probably makes sense, right? In fact, if that price tag of $4.95 is like no big deal to you, then it's probably a no-brainer. And now we come to PayPal, folks. So as I was developing the slides for this webinar, we actually made some changes in regards to PayPal. So I had to quickly adjust these yesterday because some things have changed in this regard. So PayPal is no longer supported for new users on BookFunnel. You won't be able to integrate with it if you haven't integrated with it previously. Certain key functions of PayPal integration no longer work as they have made considerable changes. And this is mainly for new PayPal business accounts, right? They've relegated some of these integration features that BookFunnel relied on previously to kind of legacy features that established accounts who have already been using them should be able to retain access to, but who knows? Right, so if you have already integrated with PayPal, you should be unaffected. If you're already using PayPal, you should be fine. We hope, right? Unless PayPal makes even more changes. But unfortunately, as of now, PayPal not an option going forward. To quickly summarize, the biggest selling point of PayPal was the low transaction fees. Otherwise, it was terrible to set up. The integration with BookFunnel was the most challenging. It was extremely difficult because PayPal has several steps that it has you go through. It was unnecessarily, I think I have some details on this a little bit later. It was just unnecessarily complex. And there were some technical issues that would come up from time to time. So in a way, Yeah, maybe not a bad thing. They're gone, but yes, if you were looking at PayPal and you haven't had the opportunity to integrate with them yet, at this time at least, until something changes in the future, they are no longer an option. Accounts that have already been using PayPal will still be able to connect to PayPal as they have previously, just not going forward. So, want to make a note on that. So let's go through some of our rankings here. Let's talk about ease of integration. This one's going to be really easy, guys. So in first place, we have PayHip, Fourth Wall, Lemon Squeezy, Gumroad, Shopify, WooCommerce, and Thrivecart. You'll notice that's pretty much every platform. This slide again was made before we got the news about PayPal. But yeah, PayPal, they required extra steps that were unnecessarily technical and complicated. Maybe you can tell we're kind of glad they're gone to some extent. It's maybe a good thing that it worked this way. They were already a very difficult platform to work with. But I want to emphasize that setting up the connection between BookFunnel and any one of these other platforms is, well, easy peasy lemon squeezy. It is very straightforward and easy. PayPal was the only one that gave people trouble, really. And now PayPal is kind of a thing of the past. So, right. So that's great there. Right. We'll move on from that one here. Let's talk about ease of store setup. So setting up your actual store on that platform, right? How would we rank those platforms? Well, here, in my opinion, PayHip is going to rank at number one. It is dead simple. It is designed for authors and digital creators. So it's really easy in terms of store setup. Fourth Wall maybe comes in a close second. Very creator focused. It's a very easy to use platform. Lemon Squeezy, third. Really, any of these, they're almost interchangeable though. This is kind of just my personal ranking. For you, you might be like, oh no, I found, Fourth Wall would be so much easier. But those three are definitely at the top in terms of ease of store setup. Then Gumroad, it's quick to launch. There's obviously some customization limitations there on Gumroad that I should note, but if we're talking about ease of setup, that is true. Thrivecart is straightforward, but keep in mind it's cart based rather than a full store. So Thrivecart, for that reason, kind of in the middle in that respect. Shopify, very customizable, but there's going to be some more setup involved to get your store up and running for that reason. There's pros and cons to that as well. But if we're talking about just simply ease of store setup, yeah, that's where I'd rank Shopify. And then WooCommerce, it's fully customizable, but it is complex for beginners, especially if you are new to just WordPress. In all honesty, if you're new to WordPress, I wouldn't recommend going that route first, right? Now, as far as handling taxes is concerned, if this is a concern for you, oh, we're going to get the whole list here all at once. Perfect. Okay. Lemon Squeezy, it deserves the number one spot, handles all taxes, including EU VAT automatically. There's some great benefits to that. Fourth Wall, I put it in second. It does have built-in tax collection and remittance, but really, Lemon Squeezy, Fourth Wall, I think could almost share the first place spot. PayHip does make it great, easy for EU VAT handling. Sales tax setup is required for other regions, though, so there's some additional setup there. Gumroad does handle US sales tax and EU VAT automatically. Gumroad, honestly, if you're looking at taxes, probably could be like, again, PayHip, Gumroad, we could switch those there, third, fourth place, right? Shopify is going to require Shopify tax or third-party apps in order to handle any aspect of taxes. Thrivecart similarly uses TaxJar integrations there. And then WooCommerce requires additional plugins. So again, those last three there require some additional setup. However, once you have those things set up, they do function fairly similarly. The biggest benefit of something like Lemon Squeezy is the fact that essentially it's handled for you, and that is due to the merchant of record aspect, right? So in the case of WooCommerce, Thrivecart, Shopify, you are the one selling it, and therefore you have to remit the taxes. A merchant of record is the one who then has to remit those taxes. So the merchant of record for Lemon Squeezy is Lemon Squeezy, and they remit those taxes on your behalf. So upselling and bundling, Thrivecart is number one. It's no contest. It has the best upsell and bundling system. It's designed for sales funnels. It is built for this purpose. That is why it has the price tag that it has. It is the best of the best when it comes to this aspect of things. And for authors who are doing lots of volume, or have a pretty sizable backlist, this can be really helpful in upselling readers to buy more of your books, increase your average transaction value. Shopify, though, comes in second. There's also lots of tools available, especially through some third-party apps that you can connect to Shopify. So I wouldn't discount it. It's definitely a great option, but maybe doesn't quite reach the level of Thrivecart. I don't know. There's competition between these platforms too, so you never know. If you really like Shopify and you're leaning towards Thrivecart, you never know. Shopify could come out with some new stuff. There could be new third-party apps that make Shopify work even better. And then Fourth Wall, their built-in bundling features, built-in bundling and discount features are pretty robust as well, especially for a platform that's maybe a little bit simpler than Shopify or Thrivecart. And then if we're looking at the rest of them, PayHip is pretty, all of these are honestly kind of in the same ranking here. I had to put them in some kind of order, but most of them give you the similar kinds of bundling tools, discount codes, coupons. They all have things like that. And maybe it's kind of a personal preference. Like if you want pay what you want pricing, there are going to be platforms like Lemon Squeezy that will give you that option. Whereas if you do want something really robust, then you're looking at Thrivecart or Shopify, in all honesty, most likely. So as far as email marketing tools, Shopify, because of their third-party app integration, probably has the most tools at your disposal for email marketing. So it's going to integrate with all major email services and have the most connections available. Lemon Squeezy has built-in email automation tools that you might find useful as well. It just depends on what you're looking for as far as that's concerned. And again, Fourth Wall collects emails at checkout, integrates with some mailing lists. So depending on what platform you're using, you may or may not be able to connect. Most of these platforms, though, are going to have most of these integrations. Thrivecart as well. It just doesn't have maybe the same level of integration as Shopify would because of the third-party app aspect of it, right? That's just one of Shopify's key features. PayHip obviously has the basic built-in email tools. It can connect to most of the common email platforms. By no means, at this point, honestly, guys, some of these are interchangeable here at the bottom of the list. Really, it's that first place ranking that's where they really stand out. WooCommerce, though, does require plugins for mailing list connections, and that can sometimes be a little bit of a pain. And then Gumroad really has the most limited tools in this regard when we're talking about these platforms. So bonus round here. Website hosting options, so can function as a standalone store. Shopify, PayUp, Fourth Wall, Lemon Squeezy, and Gumroad can all kind of do that for you. It comes with a catch with WooCommerce, but I do have to mention it. Again, it requires a WordPress site, but yeah, it does. And Thrivecart does not. BookVault, print on demand integration. Yeah, that's a go for Shopify, PayHip, and WooCommerce. If that's your thing, if you really want print on demand, those would be one of the three you would want to look at. Obviously, Gumroad, Thrivecart, Lemon Squeezy, Fourth Wall do not yet have a BookVault integration. Ability to sell physical merchandise beyond just books. So Fourth Wall goes above and beyond in this category because of the drop shipping option that they have, where literally you're not even having to set up a third-party integration for some merchandise. Right? They have it there on their store. They do all kinds of apparel. They do water bottles. They do posters. They do lapel pins. They even do custom plushies. I'm not kidding. You should go check it out. So they go above and beyond. They get a gold star. But WooCommerce, Thrivecart, Gumroad, Shopify, and PayHip all do as well. Lemon Squeezy is the one that really is digital only. There is some ability to do physical products with Lemon Squeezy. but it's not really their main focus. And so there's some hoops you have to jump through in that regard. If you're wanting to do physical products, then use Lemon Squeezy. I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just not their main focus. But what about you? Right? What's the best platform for you? So we went through all these categories, right? But what about you? So if you are a new author, you have maybe, let's say, fewer than 5 books. So we want something that's ideal for just starting with direct sales, focusing on something that's simple. We want something low cost, probably. So let's make setup easy with the relatively low fees, especially monthly fees, and minimal tech skills required. Well, PayHip, Fourth Wall, Gumroad, and Lemon Squeezy, those are all going to be your best options. They're all going to be your best options. No monthly fee associated with these. You may like one of them over the others. Obviously, there's still transaction fees, but that just comes out automatically. And then the rest of it you can kind of weigh as you go. Like, yeah, you know what? I really like Fourth Wall for the merchandise because that's a key part of what I want to do, right? Or I really like some of the tax handling stuff that Lemon Squeezy has, right? Or I really like the way that Gumroad's product pages look, right? Whatever it might be. You can kind of decide from there. The platforms that I would avoid, Shopify and WooCommerce, they're a little complex, honestly. And the cost of Shopify, the monthly cost of Shopify, I don't think is a good idea if you're new to direct sales. Thrivecart, the upfront cost is just unjustifiable for most authors, especially if you have such a small catalog of books. I wouldn't be worried about it. I wouldn't be worried about Thrivecart at this point in time. Now, if you're more of a mid-level or mid-list author, so you have like maybe over five books, you're getting some modest sales through direct sales already. What should you be looking for? Well, at this point, you're wanting to scale, right? You're wanting to increase your average order value with upsells, build a stronger brand. So we need some customization tools, some upselling tools. Mailing list integration at this point is going to become more necessary. So our best platforms are going to be Shopify, PayHip, Lemon Squeezy, and Fourth Wall are still on there. Really, Shopify just kind of replaces Gumroad at this point. But Shopify is a good platform at this level because at this point, if you have some modest sales that can cover the cost of that monthly fee, and you're willing to dive into some of the store setup aspects of Shopify, it can be a great tool to help you scale. That being said, you can still scale with PayHip, Lemon Squeezy, or Fourth Wall just as well. And again, I would still avoid Thrivecart at this point, just because it's really intended more for high volume sales with focus on funnels. It's something to aspire to, but maybe at this level, we're not quite there yet. So then high volume authors, you're making a full-time income from writing. You have a very large backlist at this point in time, right? At this point, you need automation, tax compliance, you need all the customization in the world. So some advanced marketing features, right? Robust sales funnel, full control over branding. I think you guys can see where this is going. Shopify, Thrivecart, and WooCommerce are going to be your best bets. Shopify still performs well at this scale. There are big name authors doing direct sales that use Shopify. Katie Cross is one of those. So it still functions really well at this level if you get there. I know some of you, I don't know that most of you are at this level at this point in time, but if you get there, right, this is something you can aspire to. Thrivecart is great at this point. This is where it really shines for maximizing revenue. If you're really concerned about your average order value, Thrivecart, in my opinion, is second to none. And then WooCommerce, it's ideal for wanting full control. And obviously, it comes with the WordPress catch, right? You do have, but at this point, right, maybe it's worth it for you, right? If you're at this point, WordPress might be something you're willing to tackle, or maybe even hire somebody to tackle for you. And then the platforms to avoid at this stage, really, Gumroad, Fourth Wall, PayHip, and Lemon Squeezy. These work well for smaller stores, but they lack the advanced features that you're going to need at this level of volume. At this level of volume, tax remittance, it can still be handled through some of the plugins and other things, other integrations that Shopify, Thrivecart, and WooCommerce offer. And at this point, if you're making a full-time income, you should probably have a tax professional that you pay to handle most of your taxes for you, right? Uh, so, uh, so that there's that to consider. All right, folks, that was a lot of information there to digest. I'm sure we have some questions. Kelly is also here with me today. I don't know if I introduced you at the beginning, Kelly. Kelly's one of our other author support specialists here at BookFunnel. I went from one, um, excuse me, one workshop to right into this webinar, and I suppose I forgot to introduce you a second time. But everybody say hi to Kelly. Kelly, what do folks want to know here?
Hello, hello. Okay, so Christy asked a question. Am I right in understanding that I could have WordPress and Fourth Wall slash Lemon Squeezy, or is it one or the other? Are Fourth Wall's transaction fees in addition to Stripes? So there's two parts to that question. Can you have it with WordPress?
Yeah, yeah. So really, fourth wall isn't really intended to be used in that way, but you kind of could if you have a WordPress site already. The simplest way to do this, if you have an existing website and then you're wanting to build a store using another platform, is in your navigation on your website. When somebody clicks on your store, it sends them to your store on that platform. And so you can do that for most anything. This is the simplest way to do it. In some cases, you can integrate something like, for example, if you're using like Wix or you're using a Squarespace, you can integrate Shopify. So your Shopify store can be hosted on your Wix website. Obviously, for WordPress, that's not really concerning to you, right? But basically, it's kind of WordPress wants to keep you in the kind of the WordPress ecosystem for the most part. But you could link to your store on another platform, say PayHip or Fourth Wall, that way. And using the customization options available to you, you could make that store, make that transition appear seamless. So it doesn't appear like they're like going to a completely different website, right, when they show up there. What was the second half of that one, Kelly, again?
The question was, are Fourth Wall transaction fees in addition to Stripes?
So the from what I understand, and Kelly, let me, if you know better than I do, let me know here. But I believe the Stripe fees are going to be on payouts potentially on how they're handled. So Fourth Wall is going to have their own transaction fee, and then they're going to have their credit card processing fee, and then there may be a fee then for the payout, and this is also Lemon Squeezy, I think, also has a payout fee, if I'm not mistaken.
So
Um,
the
hang on.
fees on it's been a minute since I wrote the article, but the payout fee for Fourth Wall, I think was 3%,
Yeah.
um, plus your transaction fees for Stripe or PayPal, depending on which one you your person selects, and that's across the board. It
Right.
changes depending on where you are located. So if the person checks out in the
Okay.
US, it has one, and if they check out in like say Europe or something, it has a different price. But they have I think it's 3% for uh digital products, 0% for physical products, which is actually a plus. That's for Fourth Wall.
Hmm.
And then whatever transaction fees come on top. So yeah, Stripes or PayPal,
Yeah.
if
No,
you
yeah,
have
yes,
those set
yes.
up.
I was thinking we were talking about payout fees, but yes, no, that's true. Depending on the payment option that they use, some of
Mm-hmm.
those fees may vary. So and that's not just Fourth Wall. You'll want to look into some of those other platforms as well to see if they have any additional fees depending on the payment method used.
Yeah.
So, because that,
Um,
but yes, I was thinking we were talking about payout fees, and payout fees are another thing you'll have to be aware of. I think the main ones there, like if you're using something like Shopify, they have their own Shopify payments, which basically is like a direct deposit. Essentially, if you're doing the direct deposit option, in most cases, there's not going to be a payout fee typically. It's only if you're getting like an instant transfer that where you'll get the money immediately. That's usually where you'll have to pay some sort of fee. And so that's usually universal, right? When we're talking about any of these platforms, they'll usually have an option for you to just get a direct deposit somehow. Or if you want your money now, right? Instead of having to wait, there's usually a fee associated with that.
Okay. So Carolyn asks, I'm at the beginning stages of setting up my store on my site. So this is a basic question. But when you mentioned taxes being remitted, is this the scenario? I sell a book to someone in England, taxes are added to their purchase, and then whichever site I use, they send it to the government of that country. I live in Canada. And when I charge GST, I am usually in charge of collecting and remitting. So I'm curious to know how that works for me selling to other countries. As well, do I even have to charge taxes if I think sell outside of Canada?
Yep. So, yeah, so the way it works, taxes do have to be collected at the local tax rate for digital products that are sold. So if you're in Canada and you sell a digital product to somebody in the United States, in the UK, whatever it happens to be, taxes do have to be collected on those sales based on that local tax rate, right? It's not the wild, wild west anymore, unfortunately, where you can just sell digital products willy-nilly and not have to worry about it. It just is the way it is. When we're talking about platforms like Lemon Squeezy is a good example of this because Lemon Squeezy is considered a merchant of record. And so what that means is that Lemon Squeezy collects the taxes because Lemon Squeezy is selling the book. You put it up, like you're selling the book too, don't get me wrong. But on paper, Lemon Squeezy is the one collecting the taxes, selling the product, and then they remit the taxes, right? And then they pay you, right? And all of that stuff. Because they are a merchant of record, they handle that aspect. And so that's why a platform like Lemon Squeezy is going to be ideal for that.
It's Lemon Squeezy, Fourth Wall, and now Gumroad are
Gumroad.
all,
Yep.
yes. So Fourth Wall will also do the same thing. They'll pay you what they owe you. They'll pay the government of England or wherever you sold
Yep.
it.
Yep. So you do not have to, now you do have to still pay income tax. I'm not, I'm not, I'm not, it's the sales tax that's remitted. Let's be clear. Right? You do still have to pay
Yeah.
income tax. That part's
It's
not
not going to do your social security or anything like that if
right.
you're
Right.
American. Yeah, no,
Right.
it's
Right.
definitely just the sales tax, and
Just
which is really nice of that because you don't have to worry about, how much are you supposed to collect, because even in across the United States, if you're
oh yeah.
selling, you have each state has like you don't have to pay taxes up to
Yeah.
X amount in
Yeah.
Illinois. And how do you know that? So that's the nice thing about merchants of record is that's what they handle.
Yep.
Okay, next question. Kim is asking, I'm a bit confused on the print on demand for books. Does Fourth Wall and Lemon Squeezy connect to Lulu or Book Vault, or is a POD a manual process? That one I don't
Yeah. So
remember.
I think for Book Vault, you're looking at WooCommerce, PayHip, and Shopify are the only three that they directly integrate with, which means that you can set up a similar connection between Book Vault and say Shopify, as you do between Shopify and BookFunnel. Right? BookFunnel and Book Vault, two different things, right? Right. But it works similarly in that Book Vault is a print on demand. You connect it to your Shopify store, and you told Book Vault when this product sells, print a copy of this book and ship it to this person. Shopify provides all of those details to Book Vault, so it happens automatically. So that means, yeah, you're not having to manually go in and create a print on demand order and put in their address and that sort of thing. That's for Book Vault. Uh, for if you're using Book Vault or you're using Lulu or any other, there's like Blurb is another, Blurb Books is another print on demand service. There's a number of other ones out there. Some authors will even use.
Okay, well, it looks like Jack has dropped from here. I wonder if he lost power today. Um, so hopefully he can join us here in a few minutes because he has all the slides. A couple of things. I'll just kind of pop over to the questions. Can you guys hear me okay? Hopefully you guys can hear me. Ah, cool. Okay. Very good. Okay, so I was just searching and just looking for whether or not Lulu connects, because I know Lulu has different print on demand options. So you might want to check, because I haven't had a chance to research this myself, but you might want to check in and see if Lulu can connect. I was kind of going through Fourth Wall, and it does look like they have a print on demand for books, but I can't speak to the price of those, or to what um, the like how much it would be for the cost of the print on demand or the quality. So that's just something that you would have to play around with a little bit and see if that works for you. One of the other questions we had from Kim, which was, does Fourth Wall integrate with existing websites? He kind of covered this. I think we actually might have, maybe we covered this. You can have your custom domain added in there, and that could also be part of it, but some of them are their own shops and some of them can integrate, so it just depends on which one you are talking about. Hi, Jack.
Hi. Well, my apologies, folks. So I am located in the lovely state of Iowa, and we are in the middle of a blizzard, believe it or not. In fact, we lost power briefly in the middle of the night last night, and I think we had a power glitch here just a moment ago. I don't know if you guys saw my lights flicker on and off. I think that might have restarted my router is probably what happened. And so it hence my disappearance there. So, but I'm sure Kelly, you
Yeah, I just sort of, I
carried
was
on
really
without me.
glad that I was unmuted, because then I was like, oh no, what if I can't unmute? And then we just
Right.
sit here in silence.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. Apologies for that, folks. So anyway, let's pick up where if you were in the middle of answering a question, go ahead, Kelly. Otherwise, I can
Oh, we just
there.
Not really. We just talked about print on demand, and kind of finished up talking about Lulu, and that Fourth Wall has, as part of their drop ship, they do have books on there, but I don't know the quality or the pricing for
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And then we talked about existing websites, and then our next question is from Kim. I can just go into that.
yeah.
Does the EU trader status have an implication in any of these store options? Do you know that question?
Hmm. I'd have to look into that in more detail. I imagine we're talking about if we're talking about some more intricacies of tax law and so forth, maybe clarify a little bit what you mean by that question, because I'm not necessarily familiar with what you mean. Let me see where the question here is in the chat. Let's see. Who had asked the question? What was it again?
It was Kim.
Kim. Okay. Let me see here.
I think there's something, perhaps if you are in the EU, that has like
Okay.
a specific tax law in the EU.
Yes. Okay.
And those I'm not as familiar with. So
If
you
you
might
want,
want to look into whichever one.
yes. So at the end of the day, when it comes to specific aspects of tax law, I always recommend that you consult a tax professional or legal professional who's familiar with that specific aspect of it. Now, um, I don't imagine that it would be too much of a problem. Most of these platforms function throughout the world, so it shouldn't be something that limits your ability to use one of them or not. However, there may be some things that you need to be aware of. So consult with a tax professional if you have questions about that. However, most of these platforms are used worldwide. So Shopify, it's used by authors who are in the EU that I know of. So if you're talking about what implications we're talking about here, as far as tax remittance and things like that, those would be if you're like as far as detailed answers to that are concerned. Um, let's see here. Kim actually had a follow-up. So EU trader status, for example, you have to sign on as trader status. So Apple requires an author to sign up as a trader, or they won't let you sell your books in the EU. However, Amazon and Barnes and Noble handle that for you. Yeah, so there may be an aspect of that you have to do when you register through one of those platforms. And in fact, some of those platforms might, within their own knowledge base, have some details or some answers on that specific topic. So I imagine if it's again something that perhaps a tax professional could probably answer for you better than I can, unfortunately. I wanted to real quickly here, actually, because we were on the topic of Fourth Wall. I wanted to actually show you guys. This is Fourth Wall's. These are some of their products that they drop ship. So they have hoodies. They have I guess they call this the dad hat. It's interesting. Shirts, beanies, all kinds of apparel. They have, if we keep going here, there's more apparel you can see. They do mugs. They do water bottles.
Uh-oh, he froze again.
Drop shipped. Some of these images have. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Did I have another internet
You
glitch
had
there?
a little glitch. Yeah, just slow one.
Yeah, the lights flickered again here. I'm gonna be buried in snow by the end of this whole thing. So, to be thinking about me, guys. It's okay. I'm used to it. I was born and raised here. And these, like, they do lapel pins and journals and these custom plushies. This is another thing that I saw. These are custom. I guess it's custom. I haven't looked into the details on this, but like, you could get custom plushies made. I'm, candles, all kinds of stuff. So, that being said, if merch is one of your things, I wanted to show this off because I thought it's just really impressive. And they have quite a variety of options here. Like if you just look at a simple t-shirt, got all these color options. That pricing isn't too bad. No minimum order quantity. So something there to think about if that is a significant part of direct sales for you.
Okay, so there was a question that I popped in and answered for Susan, but I think it's one that we should probably kind of address since our last webinar that we just hosted talked about our PayPal issues. So the question is, I have a store on PayHip using BookFunnel and PayPal. I
Yeah,
didn't know that you no longer can use PayPal. What should we be using for
right,
payments? Those
right.
are different things. So I
Yes.
thought maybe we should
Yes,
address
that's
that.
that's a good point of clarification. So when we're saying that you can no longer integrate BookFunnel with PayPal, what we're saying is that Essentially, you cannot sell a book through a PayPal button and then have BookFunnel deliver it. However, if you've set that up previously, you can, right? It's just for new users or people who haven't integrated with PayPal uh, previously. However, PayPal is unique among some of the sales platforms that we've integrated with because they are both a payment method and a sales platform. And so that's what creates the confusion. People use PayPal as a payment method all over the place. You can make purchases with PayPal pretty much anywhere, right? You can use PayPal as your payment method. However, that is different than integrating BookFunnel with PayPal as a sales platform. So when we say that you can no longer integrate with PayPal if you haven't previously integrated with PayPal, your customers will still be able to come to, say, your PayHip store and use PayPal at checkout because they're only using PayPal as a payment method. And that has nothing to do with integrating with BookFunnel, right? Or your Shopify store, they can pay with PayPal. So that's not an issue. It's simply using PayPal as your sales platform, right? That's what is kind of off the table at this point in time. And in fact, that was kind of a previous point of confusion as well, just because that's how PayPal is. I know we've had questions in the past with folks who were like, I'm setting up Shopify. I've integrated with Shopify, and now I need to integrate with PayPal as well. Not in order for people to pay with PayPal on your store, right? People will still be able to do that. The changes that PayPal has made that affect integration with BookFunnel have no effect on their ability to pay with PayPal on your store on any of these other platforms. So that's a good thing to bring up, Kelly. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so um, Kristen asked, how hard is it to change from one to the other as you grow?
Oh, it depends. Because setting up a store on like um, um, like PayHip, for example, is very, very easy, right? The initial setup, it really isn't too bad. Um, the the tricky part, and I know there are mailing list services that do this where they will. So, for example, if you're switching from MailerLite to another mailing list service, most mailing list services have a way for you to like import a ton of your data and even like import automations and things like that to make that transition really easy. I don't know that there's any sales platforms out there doing that too. It would be great if they did. Um, but really, it's just a matter of setting up another store. And so that aspect of it can be tricky. If you set it up on PayHip first, PayHip gives you some room to grow. So let's go with Gumroad. Let's say Gumroad, because you want to use their merchant of record aspect of it for now. You set up your books on Gumroad. You start making more sales, and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm ready for Shopify. You're gonna have to go sign up for Shopify, and you're gonna have to they might have some. I do think Shopify does have a way to like add products through a CSV file. So you could like create a spreadsheet that lists all the names of the products. I think they have something like that where you could import it in that way. And that might actually make it easier. But then the customization and the design is something you're going to have to kind of start over from scratch with, right? If you are using your own website to host your store, maybe it's a little bit easier because if you're like on Wix and you're integrating with Shopify and then you're ready to go to Thrivecart at some point in the future, well, that transition might not be as hard because like your website is all pretty much there. It depends. So it would be I don't want to say it'd be like a Herculean task to switch, but there's going to be some work involved between switching from one platform to the other.
Okay. We have one more question that I was able to pull out, although I'm just making sure because we had a little chaos there, so I might have missed a few things. Brandon is asking, maybe I didn't catch it, but did you talk about physical book delivery and these platforms? Wait, let me see. Oh, physical book delivery and these platforms would make it easy to process those. I think he's talking about not print on demand. He's talking about if you have your books and you are going to ship them.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
It seems like it would be a lot of work versus print on delivery or print on demand.
Yeah. So the beauty, so the advantage of print on demand is it's easy for you. The disadvantage is actually on the reader's side because they have to wait to get their book. It takes a little bit longer because they have to wait for the book to be printed and processed, and that creates delay. So the advantage of ordering your own stock and keeping your own stock of books is that, I don't know, for any of you who've ever sold anything on eBay, you get a notification from eBay, hey, this thing's sold. You can right there and then drop everything, purchase a shipping label, and ship it out immediately. And it's on your way to the customer. You could do the same thing with your own books if you had a stock of them, right? And you could get them from anywhere then. You could pick whichever printer you maybe creates the best quality, whatever you prefer. Keep a stock of them. And then, like, I know for sure Shopify has tools that allows you to purchase shipping labels. For if anybody's looking to do this, I highly recommend. This is a third party pirate ship. Let me pull them up here. Let's share this window. Pirate ship. If you're looking to do any shipping yourself in the United States, I should preface this, highly recommend them. They give you access to discounted pricing. It's very easy to create an account with them. So you don't have to like go to the post office and pay them full retail price for a shipping label. You get the discounted like price that everybody else, all other merchants get, the merchant price. And they do volumized shipping as well. So and they also let you get, I think, labels through UPS and FedEx, not just USPS. Or no, just USPS and UPS. I don't think they do FedEx. Anyway, if anybody's thinking of doing that, yes, Pirate Ship would be what I would recommend. Their interface is also really super easy. And I think they integrate with Shopify so that like your purchases, your transactions in Shopify just show up in Pirate Ship. You log into Pirate Ship and you go to your dashboard there and you just print the labels and you're good to go. So if anybody has done that before, so the main advantage to that, let me sell you on this, okay? Because everybody's gonna be like, print on demand is best because I don't have to do any work, right? Oh, slow down. Let's slow down for a second. The reason why you'd want to ship the books yourself, you can guarantee the quality of the book. You can inspect every book you receive from your printer. You can say, hey, you screwed up these 5 copies of the book. Send me replacements for these instead of those books showing up at your reader's door that they've waited a week for or longer, probably longer because it took some time for them to get printed, and they get a book that's, messed up. You can inspect them ahead of time. You can customize them. You can put goodies in there. You can leave them a custom message. There's so much you can do to interact with your readers this way. Is it a hassle? Sure, if you see it that way. Yeah, it's an extra step for sure for them to order from you, but there's real value in that. And just charge more. Just charge more then. You're right. So you might be thinking like, yeah, I'm doing a print on demand book, right? How much should I be making from that? How much should I be selling my print on demand book for? Let's say it's a typical novel, right? 100,000 words, so a typical trade paperback. Right? What are you going to charge for that? If you were selling it directly and shipping it to them directly yourself and customizing it, you might be able to charge double easily, right? I always say might, but we're like, so I'm trying to steel man that whole that whole way of doing things, because yeah, there's a lot of extra work involved. Just charge more for it and make it a great experience for your reader. They get their book faster. They get a custom message from you or something, or you handle the delivery yourself, right? You can customize the packaging, right? There's so much you can do there to make the experience like something that they enjoy and then they come back to you for. So,
Okay. Um, and then Brandon has also just asked, do any of these shops integrate with shipper who might warehouse your books like Amazon does for sellers?
yeah,
I
there
don't
might
know
be
that
some,
one.
I'm as far as like a drop shipping services, that sort of thing. You might be able to find like your best bet there would probably be Shopify. If anybody's going to have an integration with that, it would be them, right? If anybody, right? To some third party warehouse that does drop shipping. I know there are some of those out there. Um, However, like most of that stuff is right. If you really you're having somebody handle shipping and handling that sort of thing, um, the, yeah, the Shopify is your best bet. Shopify is probably your best bet.
I think I think that's everything. I think we covered all the questions that I've been able to pull, and I'm just double checking.
I do want
I think
I
we
do
got
want to
everything.
comment up. So Amanda said, I'm so sorry, Amanda. WordPress made me cry, and I ended up with another website platform. Looks like WooCommerce is not my option. I appreciate the opportunity to review the pros and cons of different platforms. Thank you for all the information. You're welcome, Amanda. Yes, WordPress does that to people. I don't blame you. You are not alone. Some people love WordPress. They swear by it. A lot of it, I think, sometimes has to do with the website template that you use potentially. WordPress can be hit or miss for some people. So yeah, I did want to mention that. Um, I don't know if there's anybody here who hung on from the previous workshop we did on automating your ARC team. I don't know if there's any questions about that. Now that we've gotten through all the direct sales questions, if anybody has any questions about that, you were here from that last session, feel free to maybe drop one or two of those here. I can maybe take a few minutes here before we get to the bottom of the hour to answer those. In the meantime, some other things that I would like you to know. Before we go on, let me find.
Oh, we do
Uh,
have a question about SureCart. If we have an integration with SureCart, or will we?
so at this time, we do. And I guess the question is, will we? I don't know. Um, so it's quite possible we can. We take requests for integrations, and our team regularly takes a look at those and sees which ones are going to be the best fit for for us. So I think we maybe have had some requests for SureCard in the past.
We
So
have, and
it's
I'm adding
possible.
your request right now to the
Yep.
list.
All right. So a couple things I want to mention here. BookFunnel YouTube. This is where you want to go to find everything BookFunnel. Just search up BookFunnel. You can find it on YouTube fairly easily now. We have some decent visibility. By the way, guys, we are approaching 1,000 subscribers. And I have convinced Kelly and Emma, the other two members of the author support team, that we need to do a 24-hour live stream once we hit 1,000 subscribers. It'll mostly be Kelly and Emma while I take breaks in between. I'm kidding. But hey, it could be if you think that's a great idea, I'd love you to maybe head over to YouTube, watch a video, and leave a comment saying that, hey, yeah, or send us an email to support@bookfunnel.com saying, yes, I would watch a 24-hour live stream, maybe not the whole 24 hours, but it could be fun. Bring on some special guests. But anyway, here is where you're going to find all of our previous webinars. Of course, I'm going to get today's webinars and workshops and Q&As up on the channel by the end of the day is the plan, if not within 24 hours. And then we also have the BookFunnel podcast. Check us out, folks. Of course, our recent episode with Katie Cross talking about direct sales. We had Kay Wagner on recently talking about how to monetize your books beyond just the books themselves, which is actually a really interesting conversation. That podcast deserves some more views because we talked about some really neat stuff. In fact, like making games for your books and your series, something I want to bring up in maybe a future like webinar. Could be fun. Of course, the episodes with Mallory Cooper and Kate Hall, those are awesome. They have tons of views. Check them out. We also have we have 2 episodes of the podcast releasing soon that I'm really excited for. We talked with a power couple, an author power couple, about their in-person direct sales. And then we also had a recent special episode of the podcast, which you'll want to keep tabs on. Damon Courtney, our founder, sat down, and you guys are the first to hear this. I sat down with Kevin J. Anderson for a special episode of the BookFunnel podcast that'll be coming up in the next couple weeks. That's when that's going to go live here on the channel. Also, if you guys listen to your podcasts instead of watch them, you can totally do that. I'm going to actually drop this link here in the chat. This is to Transistor, where you can get connected to the BookFunnel podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, etc. Also drop the YouTube link in here with everybody, so you can check that out on there if you prefer to listen to your podcasts instead of watch them. Also, we do break down the podcasts. I know for some people, they see, oh, that podcast is an hour and 45 minutes long. Holy cow. We do break down the podcasts into shorter segments, which you can check out here. These segments, as well as the Tips from the Trenches segment and the Story Behind the Story. Those are regular segments that we do in the podcast. So if you're like, hey, I don't know if I want to sit down for 2 hours and listen to Jack, ramble, it's really not me rambling most of the time, right? We let our guests speak, but hey, maybe you want to digest it in smaller chunks. You can totally do that. This recent episode of Tips for the Trenches, 3 hot genres, if you write to market, it was a really insightful one for those who are concerned about writing to market. If you're looking for that next hot genre, check that out here on the channel as well. But all right. I don't think we had any questions come through about the previous workshop. So I guess I answered everybody's questions. Okay, I see you became a subscriber to the YouTube channel. Thank you. Good to have you guys there. One key thing about the YouTube channel, guys, and I want to encourage you guys to do more, not only because it will help the YouTube channel, which I appreciate, by the way. The YouTube channel is kind of my baby here at BookFunnel. It's really mostly me. In fact, it's just me adding content to it. Obviously, Kelly and Emma, they're here for the webinars. They're there on the podcast. They help out a ton with that kind of stuff. But the YouTube channel is kind of my little baby. So I appreciate anything you can do to help support the channel, whether it's subscribing, obviously watching the videos, which should be helpful for you as well, but leaving comments. If you find something helpful or you have questions on something, don't hesitate. Leave a comment. I get notifications on my phone when you write a comment on BookFunnel, and I will go in there and reply to them as quickly as I can if they need a response. So don't hesitate. If you have questions, it's another way that you can reach out to us and get help on a specific topic, or you're watching a webinar and something wasn't clear. Right, so go check that out as well. Aaron, you also subbed to the YouTube channel. Thanks. Glad to have you there. Get us close to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and then you can keep us up for 24 hours. We'll have to get tons of coffee for that. We'll see when that comes up. Otherwise, I think that's it for today, folks. The next BookFunnel Live, of course, will be in April. We're doing the first Wednesday of every month now, and we're wanting to continue to add more to BookFunnel Live. Sorry if you can hear the husky in the background barking, but we're wanting to add some more stuff to BookFunnel Live. If you have any thoughts or any topics you'd like to see covered in future webinars, workshops, etc., feel free to send them our way. We're open to suggestions. Support@bookfunnel.com is where I suggest you send those our way. Otherwise, thank you guys for joining us today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you found this webinar informative, and I hope it helped you. If there's anything else you need, again, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll see you all in the next one. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from BookFunnel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.